Good morning, ninth class. This video is for you. Lesson is from Moments Weathering the Storm in Ersama. Now by Harsh Mandar, that is the writer, and you can make it out that this is the map of Odisha and where this particular place lies. It is very near to the coast. Okay. Now, let us start. Introduction to the lesson. The story gives an account of the storm that hit the coastal town of Ersama in Odisha state in the year 1999. A young boy Prashant faced the fury of a storm and reached his village. The details of how he worked hard to help the villagers overcome the devastation caused by the storm inspire us to have courage and a positive approach towards life. Now, weathering the storm at Erisama. It is summary now. Prashant was a young boy of 19 years of age. He belonged to Kalikuda, a village in the coastal state of Odisha. He had lost his mother 7 years ago. Is it clear here, children? प्रशांत एक 19 ईयर्स का लड़का है जो कि कालीकुड़ा विलेज जो कि कोस्टल स्टेट ऑफ उड़ीसा के बिल्कुल पास है और उसने 7 साल की उम्र में अपनी मदर को खो दिया था. On 27 October 1999, when he was visiting a friend in Ersama, a super cyclone hit the area. 27 अक्टूबर 1999 को जब वो अपने दोस्त के पास गया, फ्रेंड के पास गया, तो सुपर साइक्लोन ने कोस्ट में हिट किया. में सुपर साइक्लोन आया. देयर वॉज लार्ज स्केल डिवास्टेशन. उसमें बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ. डिवास्टेशन बहुत ज़्यादा डिस्ट्रक्शन हुआ. The gusty winds and the rains continued for 2 days. They remained on the rooftop of the house and survived on the tender coconuts from the coconut trees that had fallen on the roof. 2 दिन तक लगातार तेज हवाएं और बरसात होती रही और जो प्रशांत था अपने दोस्त के घर की छत पर 2 दिन तक वो लोग रहे, फंसा रहा एक तरह से, और वहाँ पर जो कोकोनट के पेड़ गिर गए थे उन्हीं को खाकर उन्होंने अपने लिए अपने आप को सरवाइव रखा. फैमिली ने सरवाइव रखा. ओके. नाउ हियर एज द रेन stopped, Prashant left for his home as he feared the worst for his family. जैसे ही बरसात रुकी तो प्रशांत ने लेफ्ट फॉर हिज होम अपने घर के लिए निकला, लेकिन वो डर रहा था कि उसकी फैमिली के साथ बुरा हुआ होगा. He took a stick to help him find the road. At times he had to swim through the flood waters. उसने एक स्टिक ली ताकि वो उसको रोड का आइडिया रहे कि कहाँ पर गड्ढा है, कहाँ पर पानी ज़्यादा है और कहाँ पर कम है, ताकि उसे चलने में आसानी रहे. और उसने बीच बीच में उसको स्विम भी करना पड़ता था. ऑन द वे ही मेट 2 फ्रेंड्स एंड देयर अंकल एंड द ग्रुप मूव्ड टुगेदर. और रास्ते पर उसको उसके अंकल के 2 फ्रेंड्स मिले. ये एंड देयर अंकल, that is of their uncle, of his uncle rather it should be there, that is it means उसके अंकल के 2 फ्रेंड्स मिले. They came across dead bodies of human beings and animals which floated with the current. और वो भी क्या था कि ह्यूमन बॉडीज़ जो थी और एनिमल्स की डेड बॉडीज़ वो सब फ्लोट कर रही थी करंट के साथ, मीन्स वेव के साथ. As they crossed villages, not even a single house could be seen. और जब वो गांव पहुंचे तो उन्होंने देखा कि एक भी घर दिखाई नहीं दिया. प्रशांत हाउस was shattered too and he saw the belonging hanging on the branches of the trees. उसने देखा कि उसका घर बुरी तरह से टूट गया है. शैटर्ड माने टूट गया है और बिखर गया है, और उसका जो सामान है वो पेड़ों की ब्रांचेस में अटका पड़ा है. He wept as he felt that he had lost his beloved one. वो जोर से रोने लगा क्योंकि उसको लगा कि उसने अपने सब घर के लोगों को खो दिया है. He went to the Red Cross shelter in search of his family. वो रेड क्रॉस गया अपनी फैमिली को सर्च करने के लिए. There प्रशांत met his maternal grandmother. वहाँ पर उसको अपनी नानी मिली. She was elated to see him alive as they had not expected that he would have survived the storm. वो उसको देखकर बहुत खुश हुई क्योंकि उन्होंने उम्मीद नहीं की थी या छोड़ दी थी कि वो स्टॉर्म में जिंदा बचा होगा. प्रशांत saw a crowd of 2,500 people at the shelter. मैनी हैड लॉस्ट देयर फैमिलीज इन द डिज़ास्टर, और उसको वहाँ पर शेल्टर में दो 2500 लोग मिले, और जिसमें से बहुतों ने अपनी फैमिली को खो दिया था। दे वर ग्रीफ स्ट्रिकन एज द कैटेस्ट्रॉफी हैड स्नैच्ड एवरीथिंग। वो बहुत दुखी थे क्योंकि इस तूफान ने उनका सब कुछ छीन लिया था। For the last 2 days, they had survived on coconut, but they were running out of stock. वो अभी तक कोकोनट पर जी रहे थे, लेकिन वो भी अब ख़त्म होने लगे थे। प्रशांत टू कंट्रोल ऑफ द सिचुएशन ही फॉर्म द ग्रुप विद सम एल्डर्स एंड यंग पीपल। प्रशांत ने सिचुएशन को अपने हाथ में लिया, उसने लोगों के साथ में ग्रुप बनाए, और उसने एक यंग का बनाया और दूसरा एल्डरली लोगों का बनाया, और उसने दे फोर्स द मर्चेंट टू गिव देम द स्टॉक ऑफ राइस। और जो एल्डरली लोग थे उन्होंने मर्चेंट्स को फोर्स किया ताकि वो चावल दें, एंड वर सक्सेसफुल, और उसमें उन्हें कुछ सफलता भी मिली। आफ्टर 4 days द क्राउड एट अ मील। 4 दिन के बाद में लोगों ने खाना खाया। देन द ग्रुप ऑफ वॉलेंटियर्स क्लीन द शेल्टर एंड टेंडेड टू द इंजर्ड पीपल। उन्होंने शेल्टर साफ किया, और जो लोग इंजर हो गए थे, घायल हो गए थे, उनकी देखभाल की। प्रशांत एंगेज द विडोज टू वर्क इन द एनजीओ नेम्ड फूड फॉर वर्क। प्रशांत ने विडोज के लिए एनजीओ में काम करने के लिए काम निकाला, और जिसका कि नाम दिया फूड फॉर वर्क, कि खाने के लिए काम। नहीं, फूड फॉर वर्क मीन्स काम के लिए खाना, राइट। Okay, now he engaged the children by arranging sports matches for them, और बच्चों के लिए। Yes, he engaged the children by arranging sports matches for them, और उसने बच्चों के लिए स्पोर्ट्स मैचेस भी अरेंज किए। The volunteers managed to set up foster families comprising of the widows, और volunteers ने फोस्टर फैमिलीज भी शुरू की विडोज के लिए। फोस्टर फैमिलीज मीन्स कि उनका परिवार बनाना। ऑर्फेंड चिल्ड्रन एंड द लोन मैन हु वुड फॉर्म अ फैमिली एंड सपोर्ट ईच अदर। कि जो विडोज थी उनको, जो ऑर्फन बच्चे थे जिन्होंने अपने पेरेंट्स को खो दिया था, उनको वो बच्चे दे दिए गए। ओके, और इन दिस वे, लाइक दिस, प्रशांत ओवरकेम हिज ग्रीफ एंड लर्न टू स्माइल इवन इन द फेस ऑफ एडवर्सिटीज़। और इस तरह से प्रशांत ने अपने दुख को ओवरकम किया और दुख में भी मुस्कुराना सीखा। इन द फेस ऑफ एडवर्सिटीज़ मीन्स दुख के समय में। Now, these are the questions given at the back. What havoc has the super cyclone wreaked in the life of the people of Orissa? Answer: it was a devastating storm which washed the houses away and destroyed hundreds of villages. It killed thousands of people and uprooted a large number of trees. There were dead bodies all around. People became homeless, and many children who had lost their parents became orphans. This crazed destruction continued for the next 36 hours. The conditions seemed grim after the super cyclone. Grim means बुरी तरह से। ग्रिम एक्चुअली ग्रिम का मतलब होता है सैड, लेकिन यहाँ पर ग्रिम का मतलब है बहुत ज़्यादा दुखदाई। Now, second question: how has Prashant, the teenager, been able to help the people of his village? Now, answer: Prashant helped the people in the following ways. Now, these are the points given. The first one: he formed a group of volunteers and got rice for the people. The second: they cleaned the shelter and tended to the injured. Third: they sent messages to the passing helicopters demanding food and other necessities. Fourth, Prashant guided the widows to work in the Food for Work NGO. And the fifth, he arranged sports events for the orphan children. And sixth, Prashant and the volunteers set up foster families for them. Question number 3: how have the people of the community helped one another? What role do the women of Kalikuda play during these days? Under the leadership of Prashant, ये आंसर है, Under the leadership of Prashant, the people of the community came together and decided to help each other. They went to the local merchant and got his stock of rice. They cooked the rice on a fire burned with the branches from the trees and ate a meal after 4 days. They signaled the military helicopters for food and help. The widow women the widowed women looked after the orphaned children, and the men arranged food and other necessities. Question number 4. Why do Prashant and other volunteers resist the plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows? What alternatives do they consider? Now, answer. Prashant and other volunteers resisted the plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows because they felt that isolation would increase their grief. They wanted to settle them in foster families of their own community where they would love and support each other. Question number 5. Do you think Prashant is a good leader? Do you think young people can get together to help people during natural calamities? Yes, Prashant is a good leader. He overcame his grief and took charge of the situation. Young people can get together to help others during any calamity. They can use their strength and energy to help others in times of need. Undoubtedly, Prashant is a in this it means you can add these points also. Undoubtedly, Prashant is a good leader. He has all the qualities of a leader. He has a special quality of taking initiatives. His vision is quite clear. He faces adverse circumstances courageously. He is a source of energy for others and has great motivational power. I think that youth is power. This power can be used to assist society during natural disaster. Whatever job is assigned to the youth in such circumstances, they perform their duty with full spirit, and Prashant did that. Okay. Now, children, these are extra questions. Now, here the first is, why had Prashant gone to Ersama? What happened there? He had gone to Ersama to spend a day with a friend. He was caught in a terrible cyclonic storm, the likes of which he had never seen a witness to. Now, second, describe the storm that hit Ersama on the 27th October 1999. Even children, what I'm thinking that in the first one you can add over there, like he hadn't witnessed before that one, like this it is there, but they he was like he remained there, that is on the roof for 2 days. Okay. It was a dark and menacing storm which had a terrific, and this is question answer number two's answer, terrific and velocity of 350 kilometers per hour. It was accompanied by heavy and incessant rain flooding the whole area. Question number 3. How long did the cyclone last? How did Prashant and his friends' family spend the stormy night? Answer. The cyclone continued for almost 36 hours. They spent the night sitting on the roof of the house in open because water had filled into the house. Question number 4. How was his friend's family luckier than the rest of the villagers? His friend's family had a strong house made of brick and mortar which was able to withstand the fury of the wind, even though coconut trees had fallen onto the roof, damaging it. However, these trees provided the family with food till they were rescued. Question number 5. Describe the scene that met Prashant's horrified eyes in the morning at Ersama. Answer. It was a devastating sight. A raging, deadly brown sheet of the water covered everything as far as the eye could see. Only a few fractured cement houses still stood. Blotted human corpses or carcasses can be there. Yes, human corpses, right. Corpses means dead bodies, and animal carcasses floated in every direction. Question number 6. How long did Prashant stay at his friend's house? What were the thoughts that kept disturbing him? He stayed at his friend's house for 2 more days. The only thought that kept disturbing him was whether his family had survived the calamity or if he was going to lose his loved ones once again. Question number 7. Why did the 2 days seem like 2 years to Prashant? Answer. As he sat on the rooftop of his friend's damaged house, unable to venture back home through the rain and flooded roads, he felt helpless and worried about his family back in his village. He was so keen to return to them that the 2 days seemed like 2 years to him. Question number 8. What made Prashant venture out from the safety of the friend's house in the dangerous situation? Answer. Prashant was worried that his family may have been swept away in his village and he was determined to find out what had happened to them without any further delay. Question number 9. How did Prashant prepare himself for the long trek home? Answer. He took a sturdy stick, sturdy means hard stick, and then started on his 18-kilometer long expedition back to his village. Yes, wading through the swollen flood waters. Question number 10. What were the dangers faced by Prashant on his way back to his village? How did he face them? Answer. The whole path back to his village was underwater. He used his stick to determine the shallow parts and he could walk on. At places he had to wade through waist deep water. Question number 11. What did Prashant see on his way back home? He saw a number of dead bodies of humans and animals floating in the flood water. He also saw that several villages had been entirely destroyed, where not even a single house remained standing. Question number 12. Why did Prashant's heart sink on reaching his village? His heart sank on seeing the extent of damage that his village has had sustained. He saw only the remains of the roof of his house. In place of the house, some of the family belongings were caught in the nearby branches of the trees. His family was nowhere to be seen. Now these are some two long questions I have given to you already. Now these are that is the long questions. That is some. Children, mark it as question number 1. How has Prashant, a teenager, been able to help the people of his village? It is given in detail. Okay, Prashant took over the responsibility of leading the village. He was instrumental in organizing the survivors into the groups to cook, clean, and rebuild the village from scratch. He supervised the building of shelter and made sure that people who were wounded and injured received adequate medical help. He also made sure that the orphans and the widows were not packed off to impersonal foster care at government institutions but resettled them in their own community in new foster families made up of the widows taking care of the orphans. He also organized cricket matches and other sports events to bring some joy into the lives of the children and persuaded the women to work in the Food for Work program started by an NGO. Now, this one you can mark it as 2. How did the people of the community help one another? What role did the women of Kalikuda play during these days? First of all, they worked as a team under the leadership of Prashant. They helped him in pressurizing the local merchant to part with rice to feed the survivors. They cooked food by collecting branches from fallen trees. They cleaned the shelter of filth, urine, vomit, and floating carcasses, and took care of the people with wounds and injuries. They also helped to create new foster families made up of the childless widows and children without adult care. The women also worked with NGO in their Food for Work program. Now, question number 4. Why did Prashant and the other volunteers resist the plan to set up institutions for orphans and widows? What alternatives did they consider? Answer. Prashant and the other volunteers were aware of the stigma attached to being sent to the government institutions and the loneliness that the widows would have to suffer here. Similarly, the orphans would have to live a life away from their roots, at the mercy of the people who would not be sensitive to their emotional needs. To solve this problem, they came up with the brilliant idea of creating foster families where the childless widows could care for the orphaned children, thereby fulfilling their mutual emotional needs. Now, children, here your notes are over. You have to write all the questions. It is up to you whether you want to be sincerely, if you want, it means to do the work sincerely, or you want to just finish it off. My duty is to giving you the notes, so I have given you the notes. Okay, but it's better if you write all. Okay, bye, take care.